Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas. This is How to Make a Game in Unity, and welcome to episode 40. So we're going to look at this little lever that we made last time, so we'll get it moving and actually make it do something, i.e. we'll have some moving platforms. And then we'll finish this tutorial with looking at some win zones. So firstly, let's get this little lever working properly. So if we go to our sphere, and let's bring it out just a little bit more, and let's go to the entrance lever, drag it, drop it so it becomes a child, and let's zero out the position, and then let's have -90, pull out to about there, and then the sphere itself, let's rotate so as it kind of brings it upwards to about there. So now we're going to add some animation to it so as it animates downwards, and let's go to our animation folder, animation tab. And then on the sphere, let's right click and rename and call it entrance sphere. I'm going to click create, and I'll just call it entrance anim, and press record to start. And we'll do this over the course of probably half a second. So we'll make sure we're on our keyframe 0. And we need to make sure that the rotation on the Z is pretty much what it is now. So let's have that as 29. And by the 30th keyframe, which is going to be half a second because we're in 60 frames a second, we'll have it rotated all the way down to about there. So -26 should do. So let's press stop record on that. And now we need to remove the animator. We've dealt with animation before, we know how all this works. So let's add component, type in animation, and we'll have that there. Size is going to be 1, and we just drag and drop that animation into there and into there. And remember, we do need to set it as legacy. So debug, legacy, normal, and we only want this to happen once. So let's press play. And in fact, what I'll do is I will bring over the first person controller. Oh, I already have.
Where am I? I need
so
to
we
find
can
a
see
way out of
that
this
it has
wood.
already animated, and it is kind of high, isn't it? So let's bring the animation down a little bit, if it is that high. So let's get the sphere, and let me see, let's put the rotation back to 0. Bring it down to about there, I think, maybe there, and 29.6. Let's bring the first person controller right up to it so we can see rather than have to walk through our grass. About there. So let's quickly check. Okay, so
Where am I?
I'm thinking
I
that
need to
probably
find a way
should
out of
be
this wood.
just fine there. So the actual sphere itself we need to turn off play automatically because we're going to do this via our raycasting because we've done it before. So if we go to game object, 3D object, and a cube, and let's bring this to about here. And we just need to turn off mesh renderer, right click and rename, and let's call this entrance lever object. And on here we need to create a script. So let's go to our scripts folder, right click, create, and we'll do C#, and we'll do this entrance lever. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to have a few variables. The first one is going to be the actual lever itself, or rather the sphere we have. So let's get rid of the notes at the top, and let's have public game object the lever semicolon. And all this is basically going to happen is the lever is going to come down, and we're also going to have some sound as well. So public audio source, not audio source, audio source, and we'll call it lever sound semicolon. So let's bring that into Unity, into our effects folder. So audio, and drag and drop this straight into Unity. You can get it on the website for free if you head over there, downloads and assets. Obviously, if you don't want to use that one, you don't have to. And let's attach that to the first person controller. And overworld audio. Let's take the unlock sound, hold control, press D. Rename. Lever sound. And then drag and drop that onto there. So that one's set and ready to go as well. So what we need to do is much in the same way we have done previously. So if we go to our previous scripts, and let me see, which script can we use here? Just trying to work out which is going to be the best thing we can do, because if you remember our NPCs over here, so this one and this one for example, upon their person, as it were, we have these objects which are quest, start, and whatever else, and they're written in JavaScript. Now, I think the best thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to pass through some information using player prefs, because we still want to access certain scripts. For example, we need to access this player casting here. We still need to know whereabouts we are here. So in the player casting script, what we're going to need to do is below it, we need to do player prefs dot set float, and in brackets and quotes, distance from target, comma, and now we need to set, or rather we can call it distance from target. We also need to set that same variable there, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. Let's have that as distance from target save. Okay, and it'll take into account the distance from target variable. Distance from target, close bracket, and save with a semicolon at the end. So now we can actually pull this into C# using the player pref. So if we go into void update, and I'm going to kind of follow the same sort of things here, because we need to realize how far away we are, and it kind of gets a little bit complicated, but if you bear with me, we can pull through this. So the cursor and the text display, if you remember, the text display says, for example, pick up the gold. So if we did that quite a while ago, was it? So if I can remember where we actually had the gold bar, so let's have a search. Gold trigger, that's the one. So let's use this gold trigger as the example. So on the gold trigger in the quest 002 gold, you can see that we can follow the same sort of principle or function on mouse down, so when it's over. So we can kind of use the same thing going forward here. So function is obviously void. So void on mouse down, open close bracket and open curly bracket, doesn't need to be private. What we can do is we can use the same line here of get component box collider and turn it off. So if we take that, go into entrance lever, and we just need to do the lever dot get component box collider enabled is false. So once again, it's the same principle here. So we also then need to animate and play. So the lever dot get component spiky brackets animation open close bracket dot play, and in brackets and quotes we need to put the animation name that we recorded. So that was called entrance anim. Entrance anim. Semicolon. So you may be wondering at this point why we have done this with the player press but not used it in the entrance lever? Well, we may do later on. It depends where we take our development to, but because we have done this in JavaScript, rather than rewriting everything, player prefs are going to be a fantastic way to transfer data through the scripts, and they really are going to be absolutely worth it in the end. After that, what we'll do is we'll play the lever sound. So lever sound dot play, close bracket, semicolon, and save. So let's go back to our lever object. We do have, okay, so it's saying weak. Okay, so let's just get rid of the lever, save. I've spelled component wrong. Component, save that again. And it's still telling us that we cannot use enabled. Okay. So in that case, we'll have to change that. I've just realized, because it is C#, isn't it? It is a little bit different. So we should be able to do it like that. So get component, the box collide is in the spiky brackets, then the parentheses, enabled is false. So save. It's just them little subtle differences between JavaScript or Unity script as it is and C#. But the thing is, both are very similar, just maybe different order of things. So now let's attach that script to the lever object, and it is entrance lever right there, onto there, and the lever will be entrance sphere, and lever sound will be, if I can find it, right there. So let's quickly play test this, and then we can move on.
Where am I?
There we go.
I need to find a...
So that works fine. So we need something to happen when we actually press that lever. For example, let's have some moving platforms. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to build up on it. So I'm going to hold Control, press D, bring it this way and bring it down to probably maybe there. It doesn't line up perfectly, but at the end of the day, you can take your time as much as you need to. So I'm going to build that to probably there. Can we jump up on that, do you think? Let's see if we can jump up on it. No.
Where am I?
It does seem a little bit too high, so I'm going to bring this down to about there maybe. And then bring that down to about there as well. So then we're going to have some moving platforms along here. In fact, what I may do is I may shrink these. They do look a little bit too big, so I'll have maybe 5 by 5 by 5. Obviously, you take as much time as you need. I do seem like I'm rushing sometimes, but the general idea of things is pretty much the same. So 5, 5, 5. Let's bring this up to about there, into place. Don't forget, snap settings can be quite useful as well. Let's bring that to probably about there and up. And let's just check we can jump up onto them.
Where am I?
Yep, so that's perfect. So let's create some moving ledges this way. Now to do that, we can just use a cube again. So I'm going to take this object, hold Control, press D, bring it out and shrink it. So I'm going to have that as 1. Bring it up to about there. And take this game object so we have the other side, because ideally I'd like this to go along here, and I'm just going to measure distance. So we can take 3 of those. Hold Control, press D to duplicate the opposite side, and then we can delete those 2 duplicates, because it's this one that's going to be the moving walkway. So let's right click and rename moving ledge. And next thing, let's animate it. So let's go to our animation folder, into animation, create, move ledge, anim, and save. Now let's press record. And we want it to move there and back, let's say within a couple of seconds. So let's set our first variable there. So we want to move on the Z. So let's reset that, 138.65. That's its default starting position. So let's say by I don't know, 3 seconds that it is over the other side. So 3 seconds would be 180 frames. So let's move it over here. Perfect. And you can see the frames have been set. So now at 360, it moves back over here to its original starting position. And then we can press the record button to stop. Now, naturally, this is automatically playing due to the animator. And I think technically we could probably do it via the animator way. So let's see what happens first.
Where am I?
So you can see it moving.
I
Like
need
a
to
moving
find a
ledge,
way out
which
of
is
this
fine.
wood.
So if we turn off the animator, what we can do then is if we go to our script that we have, the entrance lever, on mouse down when we've done it, we will activate the moving ledge animation so we can step on it. So let's declare it as a variable, public, game object, and we'll call it the ledge semicolon. Then after that, on mouse down, the ledge dot get component spiky brackets animator open close bracket dot enabled equals true semicolon and save. And then obviously we just have to quickly set that variable into place. So drag and drop moving ledge onto there, and let's test this bit out. So as we start, the ledge won't be moving.
Where am I?
If we activate,
I need to find a
it
way
starts
out
moving.
of this wood.
So now let's get ourselves on that ledge. Now you can't simply just get your character on the ledge because your character will stand still and the ledge will move. We need to kind of couple ourselves to that ledge to stay on it. Best way to do that is if we click on the ledge itself, hold Control, press D, and bring it up to about there. Turn off the mesh renderer so as we can't actually see it, and tick is trigger on the box collider. Right click and rename, and let's call this ledge trigger, and drag and drop that onto moving ledge so as they do move together. Now because they move together, the logical thing to do would be to attach our player to the same object so it moves with us. So we can do that using a script. Now if we go to our scripts folder, right click, create C# script, and let's just call it attach player. So we're going to have two variables. One is going to be the ledge, the other is going to be the player. We can get rid of void start, void update. We don't need them. So public game object, the ledge, semicolon, public game object, the player, semicolon. And what we'll do is void on trigger enter, on trigger enter. It doesn't need to be private, and we don't need this autofill stuff here. And all we need to do is just make it a parent. The player dot transform dot parent is the ledge dot transform semicolon. So obviously we then need the inverse of that, on trigger exit. So void on trigger exit, and we don't need this autofill, we don't need private, we don't need the collider. The player dot transform dot parent equals null semicolon and save. So let's attach that script to our ledge trigger when it thinks about it. We just need to set those two variables, so the ledge is going to be the ledge and the player is going to be the player. There we are. So now this whole process should work just nicely. So
Where am
there we
I?
go. There's the
I
ledge.
need to find a way out
Now
of this
let's
wood.
get ourselves onto this ledge. There we go. So you can see we're moving with it, and as soon as we exit, we're off. No problem. So the last thing we're going to do in this tutorial is take a quick look at some wind zones, because these trees are rather stable. They don't do anything. If we go to Game Object, 3D Object, and go to Wind Zone, you can see that instantly they've taken a bit of a shift. Now, there are a few settings here, basically how fast and how powerful and how frequent you want this wind zone to be. But the general idea is if you just put wind zone in, you can see pretty much straight away that that's it. That's all you really need to do. You can see how active this game is now looking and how cool it's kind of going. There's loads more still to learn, and I'm really excited of where we're going to go with this whole dungeon thing that we're building here. I would recommend playing around with those wind zones to see what you can create. There is a spherical setting, which means that within the area of the wind zone, as we can see here, indicated by the blue lines, that is the area of where the wind will occur. However, if we have directional, it will occur across the entire terrain. So, next episode, what I think we're going to look at is we'll look at a pause game and we'll look at opening a URL in game. So perhaps you've got a Facebook page for your game, you want people to have a look at the Facebook page, so we'll create a little button to open up a URL. So guys, until that next episode, thank you very much for watching.